We're good. We're live.
Very, very cool. I won't look like an asshole. Well, my name's Ryan Tamori, and I'm finally joined in person since we started this endeavor. I keep saying endeavor. I sound like a former president. I need to choose new words. I'm Ryan Tamori, part of the Pit Press podcast. My business partners are here in person. We're happy to be here. Hey, this is our 50th episode. A Lobo fan since 1970 and the voice of Western New Mexico, Mr. Ed Nunez. How are you?
I'm great, Ryan. It's good to be here in person, and thanks to Tim Baca here at the Hydro Bar. What a great setup.
And Eric Malton.
Likewise, just like Eddie said, it's great to be here. Happy to have this special guest on, and like Ryan had mentioned, it's our 50th episode, so going live for the first time, and we're in video, so let's get this thing going.
It's hard to believe it's number 50. I didn't know that.
I didn't know. I'm not BSing you. I didn't know until we got here, and then I just happened to look
at
awesome. At our Spotify, and I was like, hey, 50. Hey, we do want to thank Tim Baca at the Hydro Bar. They're here at 7400 Montgomery Boulevard Northeast, Suite 19, next to the Mossman Center, and it was next to TJ Maxx, which is one of my favorite stores, but it looked like it closed, which is very upsetting. Anyway, we're happy to be here, and our next guest. Now, let me put my glasses on because these lights are blinding me. It's the baby blue eyes. We're really happy to get this next guest on, and we've sort of branched out to basketball, but when you can nab somebody like this, what the hell? Our next guest is a former University of New Mexico men's basketball player. In his junior season, he played and started in all 32 games. He averaged 13.3 points, and he shot over 49%. He led the Lobos with 8.7 rebounds per game. In 2013, I always mess up the intros. In 2014 was a defensive force and led the team with 85 blocked shots. He was second team All-Mountain West Conference in 2013 and twice appeared on the Mountain West Conference All-Defensive Team in 2013 and 2014. He's a two-time champion in the B-League, the Professional Basketball League in Japan. I hope I got that right, by the way.
You did.
Perfect. He's from Los Alamos and a graduate of Los Alamos High School. I'm sure you can guess who he is. His name is Alex Kirk. Alex, thank you for joining the Pit Press podcast, and how are you today?
No, I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. Amazing setup, honestly. Nice little studio, and it was really cool to walk around the Hydro Bar before and see all that. And but yeah, just happy to be on here. And yeah, this is honestly just a super cool setup. So thanks, guys.
You are back in New Mexico for the off season. You're back in Albuquerque. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, recently, the last few years, off seasons have been pretty busy, staying in Japan a couple times, and not getting a ton of time here. But this summer, a little bit of an extended stay as I'm waiting for a contract from another team in Japan. So, I get to spend a lot of time with family. My wife was out here for a bit, and honestly, just really enjoying just spending time with family, and just kind of enjoying being back in New Mexico again.
Appreciate that.
You were recently in Vegas, right? We were talking on Twitter. You said you were in Vegas.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you were there for. NBA D League, same time. Summer League.
Yeah, so we were recently there. We got tickets to a Garth Brooks concert for my dad's birthday.
Very cool.
A few months ago, and just kind of one of the childhood things. Just grew up a little bit on Garth Brooks. Not like a massive country fan or anything, but yeah, he's a performer. It was actually really, really cool just to see him and just the show he put on. And yeah, being in Vegas, obviously the Summer League was there. I think the WNBA All-Star game was there.
Slam ball.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know slam, but I did see that.
I was watching it last night.
I did see that on ESPN. It was pickleball and slam ball on TV last night. So sports are a little slow right now, but it was really cool just to be in that. When those events are going on, Vegas is packed with everybody. Yep. So it was really cool to just be back in that, because I haven't been back to Vegas for Summer League since I last played, I think a few years ago. Yeah. So it was just cool to be back in that environment.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you meet with any teams while you were out there?
I didn't meet with any
potential
teams.
NBA comeback.
Just no. There's not going to be. The only chance I would have is if maybe if I went into coaching, that'd be the NBA comeback. And that's definitely a dream to go back. Maybe do some front office stuff or start coaching. that would definitely be the goal. But met with a couple guys, really close with Jawad Williams, who played with me over in the B League, was a 2005 national champion at North Carolina, and I didn't get a chance to see him in person, but he was out there, and he just got a job with the Sacramento Kings. So that was super, super happy for him for that. But just it was cool to just see him in that environment too. And hey, I think he played for the Cavs for 2 or 3 years too. So it was cool to see him. Yep.
Yeah, very cool.
Alex, you played for your dad, Alan Los Alamos High School. He's here. And I had a chance to talk to your dad, and he played too in 1972, and they had a heck of a team. You mentioned losing to Hobbs by 1 point, and you're a little young, but Ralph Tasker's Hobbs teams, even back in the 70s, were great teams.
Yeah.
Your dad's been an important influence in your life for a long time, not just as a coach, but as a father, other things too. There's a lot of father-son coach relationships. Bryce played for Steve at UCLA. Mm-hmm. Cullen Neal played for his dad here at UNM. Mm-hmm. I coached my son at AAU, and I don't think I ever got more mad at anybody than I did at him. I did. I remember one time I about threw him out of the gym. He made me so mad, because it's sometimes those relationships are hard. What was it like playing for your dad?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, and we joke about it all the time. And the Capital guys will remember. I mean, he didn't play me my freshman year, and I'll I don't know if I can forgive him for that, but I have some choice words about that. But no, I did. He never threw another player out of the gym. I don't think he threw a ball at another player in the gym. So I mean, yeah, you definitely feel there's some tension at times, but yeah, I mean that shaped me, that shaped my career, and without those opportunities of playing for him, and I wouldn't be where I am. I honestly don't know where I would be, but without that, I wouldn't trade those experiences for the world. I mean, the last couple years, I think we had offers from like Findlay and Oak Hill, just to go out there and play for some of those prep schools, and it was like, nah, I'm happy, like I'm good, like. Were my teams the best? No, we weren't the greatest, but we had a good time, and I continued to get better. And through the guidance of my dad, I knew I was going to be in a good spot, so I was always happy.
Cool. Well, just want to interrupt you real quick. Going back to kind of like that prep ball topic, what BMACE is doing here in Albuquerque with ABC and that kind of opening the doors for a lot of New Mexico kids. But can you speak to that? Like, what kind of opportunity does that give kids here? And would you have considered uprooting from Los Alamos and moving to Albuquerque?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at it by situation, by kid, to see if that's like the right thing for you. But I mean, what he's doing is creating an opportunity that no kid has ever had in New Mexico. No, you know what I mean. There's never been a situation like this where I think it's been like as an elite of a program for New Mexico as it is, and from just recently, and I'm not so involved. I'm overseas for 10 years, so I don't get to see like the day-to-day stuff. But it looks like he's putting kids in college, and I want to see those kids succeed and everything like that, especially kids from New Mexico. So for him to be able to do that, and I think the biggest thing that he's doing is probably just creating a community over at that gym. So I mean, it's like, and I think the brand's going to be represented now. The ABC basketball shirt is recognizable now. You know what I mean? So I think what he's doing is unbelievable. And I think for me personally, I was in a really good situation where I was playing in Houston for the Houston Hoops, so I was getting a lot of exposure out of that. But for example, if I wasn't getting the exposure I needed to get out of Los Alamos, I think it would have been a no-brainer to come down and do it. And he's being able to take these kids all over the country and play against some of the best players. So as long as they're doing that, I mean, that's giving exposure for New Mexico kids, and I think it's absolutely amazing.
You mentioned the branding, and I think that's important too. He talked about Little Dribblers Club the other day that involves Emmanuel Negadu, Chad Topper, Chris Pettis kids. So I think it's an arm, a Lobo arm that keeps reaching out, and that I think the community pays attention to that. I do. The Lobo fans here are crazy about the Lobos still. Coming out of Los Alamos High School, what other offers did you have? And what was the deciding factor for you to stay here at UNM?
Oh God, I think there was 40 some offers. I don't know. It's written down on a piece of paper somewhere. We have them all, and I still have all my handwritten letters from every school, from UCLA, Kansas, like all those. And I mean, and it's it's hard to say like which ones I actually considered, because it actually went by times, like what coaches were where, what players were where, for the longest time, I thought I was going to Arizona. Like 100%, I thought it was a done deal. Like I was gonna go to Arizona, and Coach Miller. Yeah, I would have been one of Coach Miller's first recruits when he went out to Arizona, and we took the visit out there, and just an unbelievable spot. They did some stuff recruiting wise after that. I think there was like a decommitment from Tristan Thompson from Texas, and there was a recruitment of Daniel Bejarano, who ended up at Arizona, then went to Colorado State. And so I was actually really excited to go there with a guy named Ray McCullum. He ended up playing at Detroit with his dad.
Yeah,
his dad was the coach of Detroit. Yeah, and he was an unbelievable
tough.
guard. Oh, he's amazing, and he still plays overseas a little bit, and I know he played for the league for 4 years, but that was kind of a guy I was like, that would be a cool guy to play with, because I knew he was like an NBA player for sure. But I'll never forget it. Like after that, it was just a weird feeling. I was just like, I remember, Coach Neal kind of came up on like a little bit of an emergency visit, let's say, up to the house in Los Alamos.
Emergency.
And I mean, I'll be honest, we had some really, really tough conversations with Coach Alford and Coach Neal, because I didn't prolong my recruitment, but it definitely probably wasn't as quick as they wanted with just a kid staying at home. They got frustrated at times, I can tell you that. It just kind of came down to it. It was after I think it was like at that time it was like UConn, Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico, and I mean there was a lot of other schools that were interested at different times, but towards the end that was kind of where I was sitting, and honestly I was just kind of like, I'm just done with this. I'm just tired of this, and look at all these benefits of playing at home, like great coaches, they're bringing in unbelievable players. I mean, they just had that, my senior year, they just had that dominant season with, where Darrington and Drew, Drew wasn't there yet, but it was like Darrington and AJ was really good, Doris and Rowe and all those guys. So it was like, all right. And then plus every night, I mean, honestly, my dad came to half the practices, so I got to see him every day. It was only 2 hours from Los Alamos, and my whole family was at every single game, extended family and everything like that. So I was like, what beats that? So, and just being able to represent New Mexico, I mean, I thought it was a pretty cool opportunity.
Sounded like it was a much harder decision than people might have thought. I mean, Arizona was after you hard, so I think everybody's happy that you ended up here, but it sounded like a tough decision. You're an instrumental part of the program that won 3 straight Mountain West Conference tournament championships, so much so that the Thomas & Mack Center was called Pitt West. Lobo fans took that over. I remember seeing that on TV, and oh my goodness, I used to crack up just by some of the reactions of the fans. Lobos and 505 and the whole thing. What do you remember? I'm sure you got a lot of memories. What do you remember most about those days?
Oh, I mean, it's just honestly the easy answer is just the relationships I made with the guys. I mean, there's not really a week that goes by that I don't talk to Cam Bear. So, of course, I wish I was closer to a lot of the guys. I mean, I wish I was closer to Kendall and Tony and all of them, and Hughes out doing his thing in Australia. But, I mean, honestly, just the relationships. But, I mean, of course, those environments are something you never forget. And going to Thomas & Mack and, after we lost a tough game that last year in San Diego State, and I think that gave them the Mountain West regular season Mountain West title. And I remember just going to Thomas & Mack, and we played them. I think I don't know if it was the final or the semifinal, but it was like, these guys have no chance. This is literally a home game for us. We're not, literally, it was just there was no worry at all. We were going into that game, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna win this. The Mountain West tournament is our time. And honestly, I think that was just an attitude from you passed on from Coach Alford to Coach Neal down to all the players. And I think that was something that we never had in the tournament. Honestly, I think that was the missing piece in the tournament. If we had that confidence that we had in the Mountain West tournament, just to get through the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament, I think, our whole tenure at New Mexico is just a little bit different. Most likely Coach Alford will have a statue in front of the pit if they're able to get to a Sweet 16, but different story.
You know what? Interesting, because you're probably right.
Yeah.
Honest to God, you are. That's we've said that before. You've said that.
It's going to be
yes.
I got the New York roots and the New Jersey roots. It would have been like the canyon of champions. the Sweet 16 here would have been like a moon landing.
You imagine that moment if it happens?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. I don't know where the parade would have been, but we would have figured out something.
It might still be going on, man. I don't know. Yeah.
None of us would have left if that was the thing.
Yeah, I say this on every episode. I'm a degenerate gambler, and my buddy and I've discovered Australian football.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, and I'm looking, and I was like, hey, I'm going to pick a team. I was like, oh, okay, I took the Melbourne Kangaroos.
Yeah.
Sure enough, guess who's on that team is Hugh Greenwood. I think that's hilarious. That's just a comment. That's not here nor there because I still don't understand. I watch it, and it's like American football mixed in with hockey and soccer. Excuse me. It's amazing to watch. I love it.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a full conversation about that because I still don't understand the game. Ed might get this joke. What a night. Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. December 96.
I remember that.
Anyway. December 27th, 2012, you guys head to Ohio and you play number 8 Cincinnati. Yeah. You helped rally UNM back in the game in a 55-54 win. I remember being at the time, it was still Fox and Hound. I remember being there. And I wasn't working at the paper anymore. It handed the Bearcats their first loss of that season. Pushes you guys, UNM, to 13-1, but the game came down to you and a block you made on guard Sean Kilpatrick. Yeah, I knew you would know.
I'll never forget this.
It secured the win. What do you remember about the play? And maybe was that the biggest moment of your UNM career?
So we got to back up. We got to biggest moment of my UNM career. I wouldn't say that, but I would go. I got to back up. That summer we played university games in Russia. I played for Team USA, and there was. Amazing. That was an amazing team, honestly. I think Doug McDermott, Sean Kilpatrick, Yogi Ferrell, Indiana guard, Spencer Dinwiddie, who's been all over the NBA, Adrian Payne, who was elite athlete, rest in peace, Corey Jefferson out of Baylor. I mean, I could go on Will Sheehy, Luke from Louisville, just an unbelievable squad. All the names are coming back. But so we were actually roommates. And we were actually roommates with Tyler Haws out of BYU. So both of them were a bit older than me at that time. I must have been like 20, and Tyler Haws had done his mission, so he was a little bit older because he was a BYU guy, so 23. And Sean Kilpatrick, he did all the prep school and stuff like that, so he was a bit 23, 24. But one of the most interesting guys that I'd had the chance to play against, and an absolute bucket. The kid could get a bucket at any point. And also I had a pretty good buddy on that team. Justin Jackson also played on that team, on that Cincinnati team, and I played against him coming up. He was out of Florida, and just that moment, the whole all defensive teams for me is. I think it's just off of the block shots. I'm not very good on the defensive end. I have absolutely zero lateral quickness.
I like the honesty.
So guarding pick and rolls is the reason I'm not playing in the NBA for 10 years. So, So with that, like me being able to get a stop on an All-American, I think he broke Oscar Robinson's record for scoring at Cincinnati was scoring over 3,000 points in his career. So for me to be able to say that, I would say that's probably my best defensive play at New Mexico for sure. I would say that. I could say that.
After that block shot, Kilpatrick told the Associated Press, quote, "I thought I had him. I could have drove, but I didn't." End quote. Was he right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I don't know why would it. I don't know. Maybe in college basketball terms, that's like Stephen Curry not driving by Kevin Love in the finals that year. So he definitely could have got past me. So I don't know what he was thinking, trying to shoot over a 7-footer on the from 30 feet away. But hey, I mean, if he had made the shot, he would have just been that much more of a superstar on ESPN that night. So, obviously. Great player, and happy we got I think we beat them back-to-back seasons too, so those were 2 massive wins for us.
Oh yeah, they were number 8 that year.
Number 8 on the road,
and undefeated.
And we stayed in Cincinnati that night, and we went to St. Louis the next night, and I think like 2 or 3 nights later, we absolutely got demolished by a St. Louis team. That was they were loaded. That was the most fundamentally sound team I think we played.
Was that a Rick Majerus coach team?
Do not think so.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I think he was a bit earlier.
Yeah. Tony Snell and his play probably, sticking with the good old years 10 years ago, Tony Snell and his play probably elevated him to one of the best shooters in Lobo history. You would think the writer can write the questions. Apparently not. And he was crucial for Alfred in that 2012-2013 season. He had a game-winning three-pointer against George Mason in the Paradise Jam, the Virgin Islands. I remember where you were on. I remember where I was earlier in the year. And then he hit that game-winning shot against Cincinnati. And I was looking at the play-by-play last night, and that game was so defensive. You look at the score, and nobody scored in the final 2.5 minutes. Yeah. He was huge against Jimmer, against BYU the year previous. But how special of a player was he? Is he?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe a guy like Tony, to be honest, because, you play and he's just so quiet. He's so quiet vocally. He's so quiet just as a person. But you'll look at his game and it's just like, God, he's so dominant. And by far, he's the best workout player I've ever seen. But 1-on-0, 2-on-0, those types of just workouts. He's by far the best player I've ever seen. Just the amount, just the way he looks, just the way he plays. Shooting wise, he's unbelievable. He won't miss a shot in a workout. It's crazy. But yeah, he fit perfect with the rest of us, and I'm not saying that the rest of us were loud players, but I think when you had guys like Kendall Williams and you had guys like me and Cam under the basket, we needed the ball, we needed the ball to be effective and stuff. And Tony needed the ball to score, of course, but just with his grace outside and inside, he was just unbelievable. And 6'8", 6'9", 6'8". And
yeah,
the way
the mismatch.
he moved and the way he was, he was always so calm in every situation. And like you said, I'll never forget that George Mason game where Pancake Thomas drove baseline and kicked out to Tony, and we were just all about to lose in the semifinal on the Virgin Islands. I don't want to be here with Coach Alford right now waiting for this trip to end. But he hits that shot, and I think it's semifinal, correct? Yeah. Semifinal. Then we went on to play UConn. I think we beat UConn pretty easy. Yeah. So, that's probably one of the bigger memories for me. And then, obviously that year when he went to the Mountain West tournament, he built his resume off that tournament. The number of scouts that were there to watch, everybody, and the way he just purely just dominated that tournament. There was nobody else close to him in that tournament. And honestly, I think him going into the workouts after that season was, important. And I'm sure he dominated every workout, but just the way he dominated that tournament, I think that's the reason he ended up going 21, Yeah.
Speaking of another player you played with, Cam Bairstow came in as a scrawny freshman. Thanks for using the word scrawny.
I wouldn't say scrawny.
Because I'm a scrawny guy. Not anymore. I have this gut. But he came in as a smaller freshman in 2010. He ended up graduating as a 6'9", 250-pound beast who was drafted in 2014 with the 49th pick overall in the NBA draft, obviously the Chicago Bulls. What was it like playing alongside him?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, and that last year was truly just unbelievable, dominance every single night. There was moments where I was I don't know if we're gonna get this gang back together before that season. I wasn't sure about Kendall, me, everybody with all the transition of Coach Alford leaving. So, Cam went down to Australia, and I wasn't sure if he was coming back for a moment. I honestly wasn't sure. But when he came back on a mission, and all that hard work from the previous 3 years finally came together. And there were some tough moments that season, no question. I think everybody knows that. But he came in and he dominated every single night. It was absolutely amazing, what he did that year, and I'm so happy he stayed healthy throughout that year, and obviously, getting drafted by the Bulls was pretty amazing, and just super happy for him. And this last year he retired, and now he's an agent, so I'm super happy for him to kind of move on to the next step, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I think what propelled him to the next level was kind of developing that mid-range game, that elbow jump shot, or is that something that he always had? Because he kind of extended the defense a little bit, gave you room down low to go to work.
Yeah, I do think our high-low game was pretty dominant. And I think there wasn't many situations like that across the country where there was two guys that were actually capable under the rim and from mid-range. But I think what really, really kind of helped Cam was, he kind of always did have that face-up mid-range game, like you said. But that year they changed the rule where if a guy was faced up, you could not touch him. It was zero tolerance. You could not touch him. And what Cam being, I think 250, maybe a little light, but and being able to move and as explosive as he was, what were you going to do? Like, if you didn't put your hands on him, he was getting to the rim. Like, I was clearing out of the way and he was getting to the rim. And if you backed off of him to give him space, he was popping that jumper. And I mean, I don't know the numbers of how many free throws he shot that year, but I mean, it had to be some of the, like, had to be close to the top of the country that year for sure.
You know, the other thing is too is he's a beast in the weight room. He was a beast. I think even after games he went and worked out.
Yeah.
So that helped him a lot too. And you mentioned the size, but he put the work in. There's no question about it. You know, there were a lot of expectations on the 2012-2013 Lobos. Charles Barkley had even predicted a Final Four.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that. You know, I told you I've been a Lobo fan since '70. I'm like, did he just say that? I remember him saying that. Now, I've been through a lot of devastating losses as a coach, player. I've been through them, seen them. This is a tough question, but it was a devastating loss to a Lobo fan when we lost to Harvard. It was very devastating to me, almost as devastating as when the Lobos lost to Cal State Fullerton in '78 when they had that number 4 ranked team. That was devastating to me. Devastating. So how devastating was that loss when you lost to Harvard? How devastating was it?
Yeah, I mean, it's devastating. I mean, it was tough. Like, it was interesting just like coming back, and I mean, it was humbling to say the least. I mean, it was humbling coming back, and you know, the people that were giving you high fives when you were shopping for pork chops at Walmart weren't looking your way and staying away from you. We didn't get NIL money back then, so we were at Walmart buying canned pork chops by the pound. So, but yeah, I mean, it was tough. Like it was difficult, but I mean, honestly, I think it's going to be one that it comes back later and it creeps on. Like right now in my playing career, you know, there's been some rough losses, like, you know, so when you're still a player, it's kind of like, you know, you want to look back and you reflect on those days, like, oh, what would have I done different? What could have we done in those situations? But I'd say that game is kind of out of our control. I would say it was a bad matchup. Yeah, I mean, they were good. They were a super solid team with, you know, 5 shooters on the court, and we played 2 bigs the whole game. It was a difficult game for sure. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I wish we could have done something different, and we played our hearts out, and we did the best we could representing New Mexico. And you know, I mean, I wish we could have gone to the Sweet 16. That would have been magic, because I think we would have played Arizona the next game.
Yes.
And I remember Coach Neal telling me before the Harvard game, I'll get you through this game, but you better take care of business when we get to the Arizona game. And I mean, because I think he knew that meant something to me in that. So, I mean, obviously, like, there was a lot going on for us as kids, like, at that point, like, being put in that situation, playing against Harvard and then losing, and then we lost our coach and stuff like that. So for a lot of us, I think it was tough, and it's always going to be a tough memory, but I think, honestly, we did the best we could. Like,
I'm a New York Knicks fan, which probably you're like, wait a second, why do you know?
That's awful.
I know. And I know you got traded there. That wasn't where I was going with this.
I got cut there.
Excuse me, cut there. I'm sorry.
I was a massive fan of Phil Jackson, too, before all that, too.
I'm sorry I mentioned that, because I had a buddy of mine that I went to high school with here, and his roommate he went to Seton Hall, and his roommate in New Jersey, they're both Seton Hall grads. He worked for the Mets, and I was like, yeah, I'm a big New York Mets fan. And he literally, I mean, I get crap here, and he literally looked at me. He's like, I hate that organization. So I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a Mets fan. God bless Eli Manning. Now I'm sure I'll meet somebody and be like, I hate that organization, but we were just coming off Linsanity at that point, and he posted something about Harvard, and they were winning on Twitter, and I was like, I don't like you anymore. You guys will both never hear me say that, so I was like, damn you.
Yeah, real quick, I think I call those losses hangovers without the alcohol, because you wake up and you're like, for me, I mean, it was devastating. You move on. You have to. My nephew played at El Dorado. He's a very good player. And he as soon as the game was over, it was over. For me, I'm still mad 3 days later, like, why did we do this? How did we run that? But, yeah, and you move on. And like you said, you move on with your professional career. And just to put it to bed, to rest, the players did not know Coach Alford was leaving. They didn't know that. Because that's been said. They didn't know that then.
I mean, I would be interesting, like, what players they were talking about, honestly, because you would think that, if something like that was going down, if any of the players knew, like, I think I would have been one of them. I would like to think that, like I said, we know one player probably knew, and that was Corey, but besides that, I mean, I don't really think, and like I said, I talked to you before, I mean, that we were at a team event that morning when that broke across our phones on the little ESPN banner, Alford going to UCLA. And I get chills. I have chills right now, like thinking about that moment.
So you found out after the fact.
I mean, we found out through
just
everything
like
else. Yeah. And I'm sure it was leaked. And I think Coach Alford. I mean, after the event, we went straight over to our video at the Davila Center, and they broke it down. He came in and talked to us and everything. But there was guys devastated, and there was the guys that were devastated weren't exactly the ones that you were expecting to be devastated, but they were the ones like in tears, because that's a lot for us, it is, and looking back on it, I was pretty quick to be like, damn, that's awesome, like good for him, like you know what I mean, like hey. Maybe there could have been a more of a hey, thank you, but what was the contract, like $20 million? You know what I mean? So it's just like wow, that's crazy. Like, and for me, I'm all about guys being able to get to the next level, get to the next step. You know what I mean? So that's why I do enjoy this generation of NCAA basketball, where now the players are able to kind of do their thing too and go like, because I think I would have had a lot of opportunities to move on too, I was super happy for the Alfords when that happened.
No, it's kind of funny because my wife still gets upset about that. Hey, it's UCLA. My wife still gets upset about that, but you couldn't blame them. You couldn't blame them.
No.
You've also played with some of the most recognizable names, guards to wear a Lobo uniform: Doris Gary, Kenna Williams, and Hugh Greenwood. What makes each of them special in your eyes? Those are some solid ball players right there.
Yeah, I mean, and just all of them are so different. I could even, I think that list could even be bigger, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, Doris is what I needed, when I first came in. Like, I came from Los Alamos. I didn't have an edge, and I got some from playing in Houston. I'll be honest. I learned a bit about basketball when I played in Houston and getting some toughness and stuff like that. But playing with a guard like Doris, I mean, if you gave him an inch, he took a mile. The dude was just an absolute physical, beast, built like a running back, built like a fullback, whatever you want to say. He was and he was just amazing. And I mean, just what he gave the Lobos is just something that you just I don't think you see that in sports anymore. I mean, we're talking about a guy who he gave 100% of his career. He was done after he played for the Lobos. There wasn't any, I mean, he could have gone and played, and I think he did some small stuff and stuff like that. But, I mean, he went out there and just, I mean, the number of times he hit under the basket, the pads, with the force he hit, dudes these days, NBA, European, they wouldn't get up from that.
He's
and
tough.
just
He's very tough.
I mean, just what he went through that final season, just to get through that season and just the devastating way it ended versus BYU in the Mountain West tournament was just, but it just was he literally gave 100% for the Lobos. And I'm not sure there's another player that could say that. He literally gave his career for the Lobos.
You also played for both head coaches Steve Alford and Craig Neal during your tenure and had to deal with the transition. You already kind of mentioned this. What do you recall feeling about when Alford decided to leave for UCLA? You kind of mentioned that. What was the feeling when Coach Neal came in? You mentioned we had a talk before you came in that Coach Neal and Coach Alford together were very good. You mentioned this, and I think it's important to know. Coach Neal is one of the best play drawers that you've ever seen. Yeah. You said only Tyronn Lue is better that you've been around, which I think is important to know. Yeah. He didn't leave here on the best of terms. He didn't. A lot of people still don't feel very good about him, but I think that's important to know. So, what you mentioned how you felt about Alford leaving. What did you feel like when Coach Neal took over?
I mean, I was really happy, honestly. I mean, that's kind of what we needed, and they could have brought somebody else in. I mean, there was a ton of names coming in. Buzz Williams, there was all sorts of names, but it's where would have we all been in that situation? And I dealt with this past season in Tokyo. They brought in a new coach. I wasn't this coach's player. I wasn't this coach's import. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about my career. He doesn't care about my family. He hasn't known my family for 6 years like Coach Alford and Coach Neal did. And that year was tough for him. I mean, and I think we all know the reasons why that was tough on him, and it wasn't fair for him or Cullen or the family. But I think we all did what we could, with the situation, and I think he is a good coach. I think he would have been a great head coach in different circumstances, and I think if he doesn't get the job, I don't think any of us are coming back. Like, I'm not sure about Kendall, but like I said, I don't know about Cam. I could see Hugh ended up at UCLA if that happened, and I can't say I would have stayed, you know, because just it would have been a risk to come in and play for a new coach. So I was super happy when Coach Neal got the job. I was super happy for him, and I mean, I wasn't really sure about the whole T-shirt thing or whatever. If you guys remember that,
The
we did,
Noodles T-shirt?
yeah, the Noodles T-shirt. I still have it somewhere, but yeah, I wasn't sure about that. But besides that, I was you know, I was pretty happy.
Cool. Kind of just piggybacking on that, when like now in this new like landscape of college basketball, right? A head coach leaves, players have the choice to kind of uproot themselves and choose a new destination.
Yeah.
NIL money's being thrown at them. I mean, can you speak to, I guess, that your opinion on NIL players kind of having more control of like their playing career?
Yeah.
It wasn't like that for you when you played here.
No. Well, for some guys it was.
Yeah. Okay. On the record, off the record.
For me, it wasn't. But this was one of the schools that that wasn't. Yeah. To be honest, like I love it. Like I think it's great. I think there's some ways that they can improve it. Like I do think like the money could be like saved and given to the kids after they finish playing. Like I don't know how you do that, but I do think like it would help with some issues and stuff like that. But I love the kids being able to, you know, maximize their, you know, their career while they're there, because yeah, all the guys playing for the Lobos aren't going to go play in the NBA. All the guys aren't going to be able to go play in Japan or Europe like I have. Like it's just a fact. Like, but while they're here, they are the professional athletes of New Mexico. Like it is what it is. Yes, there's the Isotopes. Yes, there's United Soccer. Yes, you know, but you know, there's nothing else like New Mexico basketball. Like so, for them, I think they need to maximize that, and I think the community needs to maximize that. Like the different companies and stuff like this. Like even talking with Hydro Bar, you know, they've done some things for the team, and yeah, I just think that's amazing. And you know. Yeah, I mean, I know basketball fans and fans of colleges hate this, but like, hey, if a kid has an offer from a Big 12 or you know, a big team, like, I think as a fan you should be happy. Like, I think like that's what New Mexico created. Yes, I know maybe that won't help the team the next year, but like, for example, like I played in a team in Italy, a very small team with absolutely no money, and the next year I was able to play in China and then go play in EuroLeague. That team still loves me and still feels like they had a part in my career. Like I think that's beneficial. Like, and I think that's good for, like, I'm not calling New Mexico like a builder team. Like, I do think that they're building a Sweet 16 team this year. Like, I think they're on the way eventually. Hopefully, Coach Pitino stays as long as possible. But I do think that's beneficial for kids and programs at the same time, for kids to, you know, be able to do it. I mean, it's wild. I get that. I understand that, and it's a lot more work for coaches to keep a team together. But I do think it's good for the players.
Yeah.
I'm gonna backtrack because I'm the history guy. I love it. It's just my piece of paper from UNM says history.
Yeah.
And I didn't write this question down. The Kendall Williams 46-point game.
Yeah.
Just elaborate on that. That was a big game because that was the Colorado State team that got to the NCAA tournament there,
Yeah.
and you guys kind of went up there and shut them up.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, I think there was the Kendall Williams story, and then there was the Alex Kirk versus Colton Iverson story.
I remember Colton Iverson.
That also gets missed a bit, because that was.
I've already upset you with the New York Knicks comment. I should have mentioned.
No.
I'm sorry. You're gonna reach over and punch me in the face.
No. I just want to say that, like, that was, for me, that was the battle, and then like, and I played against Colton Iverson. I think he was like he was a Celtics draft pick after that, and then but he was over in Japan the last year towards the end of his career. But he had an unbelievable EuroLeague career too, and but yeah, just like it was like that, like trying to focus on like what I was doing, like handling this 300-pound like just like, you know, absolute beast in Colton Iverson, who was just throwing me around the court at the same time. But then also you're just trying to like enjoy what Kendall was doing. Like you're just like, yeah, this is something different. Like this isn't like an every night. Like, yeah, Kendall was a special player. We all know that. But like what he was doing up there, and I mean, there was a lot going on. Like I remember like they had like the fat heads of like our dead grandparents like up in the stands. They had gotten on Facebook and stuff. Like there was a lot going on. And I remember they also sat our families like up against the wall, like behind like the horns of like one of their scoreboards and stuff. Like, so it was that was definitely like a weird setup and everything like that. And we knew they were good. Like we knew that they were no joke. Like I want to say that one of the guards was Green, maybe something. I can't remember his full name, but yeah, I mean they were good, and they had there was a couple shooters. I can't remember their names, but like
Eichmeyer.
Something like that. I was gonna say Eichmeyer or something, but I like those guys were elite. Like, and so that was like a really, really good team, and but like what Kendall did was just like unbelievable. Like, I mean, just like watching that, like, and yeah, I mean, we at that time we had iPad minis. They gave us iPad. I guess it was NIL money. They gave iPad minis, but we had to give them back
for school purposes.
For school purposes. But the stories with those iPad minis is wild. But shout out Jamal Fenton. But we had all these iPad minis, and they would put the highlights on them, and like you would just like off the cloud or whatever, you would download yours. But I guarantee every single person on our team downloaded that 46 points from. I have it somewhere, but and I've watched it on YouTube 100 times. But I mean, I don't know if Kendall knows that, but like I've watched that at least 3 or 4 times a year for the last 10 years now.
That's awesome.
Now, yeah, so I mean, that was elite. That was an elite performance for sure.
But your performance against Colton Iverson was top notch. Does it top the 46 points?
It does not. No, not at all. Not at all. All I was just trying to say is like I had to focus on that, like also by marveling what Kendall was doing. But yeah, I mean the fact that I just survived that game without any injuries is a miracle for me.
I like that story. That's my bad. That's on me. Yeah. Can you tell us what kind of coach Steve Alford was, and what kind of impact he had on basketball in just not UNM but New Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look where he comes from. He comes from Indiana, playing for Bob Knight, and I mean, I don't think he was quite at the level of Bob Knight all the time, but he definitely was a hard-nosed coach, and he kept us in line, which I think is a tough thing to do these days with these guys, like making money and all that. Like, now you're dealing with pro guys. So I do think right now is a tough coaching environment for him, but I still think he's doing really well, being successful at Nevada. But yeah, I mean, he was a tough coach. Like, there's no question about it. I mean, and he kept us in line, and, we were going to do what he said. And I mean, as a college player, like, that's kind of what you need. You need that guidance. You need that, that toughness and stuff like that. Like, yeah, there were times where he's a little crazy, but like, I mean, like just all these memories just popped in my head. But I mean, the times when he broke a clipboard and stuff, like he got us to the places we needed to be mentally and prepare for games. Like, and yeah, he obviously he knows basketball, but like as a CEO, he ran New Mexico like a company, and it was elite. And what he did with like some of us and some of our careers, like, yeah, I mean, in New Mexico they treated him like a god, So I mean, but like he literally ran that thing perfectly, and it was, and we were ready to go every single night. Like we were definitely a lot of nights we were more talented than the other team, but a lot of the time, we were more prepared than those other teams too, and that's what put us in like a lot of really good situations to win ball games and win over 25 games every year, I think, close to something like that. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that kind of just speaks to the team chemistry, right, and how you guys played together and how you complemented each other, right? You'd mentioned Tony Snell and some of those other guys, so.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned him winning 25 games. I don't think any Lobo coach has won 30. He won 30.
Yeah.
And, that puts him in a different level than even a Bob King. So he was a prepared coach. He did a great job here. You've been living in Tokyo since 2017. You mentioned some of the cultural shock there about your back surgery. What's a day in life look like for you, and how is it living in Tokyo?
Yeah, it's actually amazing in Tokyo because – I was lucky enough to work with a company and get a car and stuff like that. But I really only drove to practice. Everything else was by train. I lived above a train station for the last 4 years. I lived in a mini skyscraper above a train station. So I went down 22 floors, got on the train, and 10 minutes I was in downtown Tokyo, Shibuya Crossing with the biggest crosswalk in the world and all that kind of stuff. So, wow. I mean, it was elite. It was amazing living in Tokyo. I'll definitely miss that because I'm not going to go back to that team anymore. But it was unbelievable. Just being in Tokyo and just the size of the city, and I mean, pro life is pro life. It doesn't really change from where you are. You're at the gym quite a few hours a day, and But for me, like just being able to be in Tokyo and especially the off days, just being able to go adventure Tokyo and Japan was just amazing.
You mentioned that too, and you won a championship with Alvar Tokyo in the Japanese B League. You led the team in scoring. Talk about how much talk about that championship. You mentioned kind of how it is playing a game you love outside of the United States. I don't know how people Tokyo, if they love that Japanese B League. Of course, Americans, most of them love the NBA or college or some form of basketball. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the environment in basketball over in Japan is definitely growing. Like, it's absolutely crazy how much it's grown in my 6-7 years over there. So it's unbelievable. So I feel really lucky to be like kind of part of it's a new league. The league's only going to be 8 years and stuff, but I feel really, really lucky to be there early and have watched it grow over the years. Like, I just read an article today from a pretty famous Spanish basketball reporter. Can't remember his name, but he's basically thing was like Japan stealing all the European players. Like, I mean, it was like they're stealing the coaches, they're stealing the players and stuff like that. And just to be a part of that has been absolutely amazing. My first 2 years we did win the championship back to back, and just some of those players, and I mean, some of my best friends are, some of those Japanese players now, so I have like super good relationships with all of them, and some of them were at my wedding and everything like that. So just super, super lucky to have found that team. And I mean, it was a risk leaving Europe to go to Japan, like no question. Like, that was a scary moment for me. The money was the biggest reason. It's really good. So that was the reason I made the jump, but I wouldn't trade that for anything. Like, now I can speak Japanese and everything like that. And like, I'm pretty into the culture and everything like that. And so it's not a culture shock when I go to Japan anymore. It's a culture shock when I come back.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I mean, Tokyo's definitely become a home.
What's the fandom in Japan?
It's different. It's polite.
Okay.
Japan's image is cute and polite. They kind of want to keep everything and clean. They want to keep everything kind of like that. And so, if the other team dunks, our fans are going to cheer for that too. Okay. So I mean, there's some environments that get a little hostile, but for the most part, at the end of the game situations, they get loud when they need to get loud. I mean, it's nothing like a pit environment. It's nothing like the European environments I've been in, but it's definitely, and their knowledge about basketball is actually increasing, and that's kind of cool to see, like how big it is.
I'm going to steal this question from Ed. I'm a big baseball guy. Obviously, he's wearing a Reggie Jackson jersey, but it's a baseball country. How have they embraced, you kind of hit on it, but how have they embraced basketball? And that's how, I don't know what I wrote there, but anyway, how did they embrace, I guess you kind of elaborated, but are they switching gears to becoming more of a knowledgeable basketball country?
I mean, I wouldn't say they're switching. Like, baseball's baseball. Like, right. Otani's going to be the best baseball player of all time. Like, so, I mean, I don't think the country's going to, flip like baseball over or basketball over baseball ever. Like, I think soccer and sumo is going to be, always there too. So, and rugby's pretty big over there too. But yeah, I mean, just their knowledge of basketball, and you should see some of these arenas being built over there. It's like amazing. Like, I think I was talking with you about the Okinawa arena and all that kind of stuff now. I mean, they're building mini NBA arenas in Japan now, and I think the NBA has been coming for the last 3 or 4 years. Playing at least 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, they're trying to grow the game out that way.
And now they have Rui Hachimura and Watanabe now playing in the NBA, and a lot of guys are coming over to play college and stuff like that. So, it's growing, and it's at a crazy level. And also the business side is growing too. A lot of these big Japanese companies are getting in on teams and stuff like that, and it's pretty
Very cool.
to see. Yeah.
There was 96% of what I read with the World Baseball Classic. I don't know if you were there for that.
I was there.
Yeah, 96% of households tuned into that game when they beat the U.S. It blows my mind.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I went to the first round was in at Tokyo Dome, and I went and watched Japan versus Korea, and it was elite.
That's awesome.
It was
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah, it was cool.
Kind of staying on the pro topic. Now, you went through the whole experience with the NBA draft combine, Vegas. Yeah. Can you speak to that? Like, what, just being a pro ball player, kind of not the day in the life, but just kind of navigating, acquiring an agent, having to deal with contracts, playing in the D League. trying to attain an NBA contract.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's crazy to think about, and it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I did it once, and now, yeah, I wouldn't wish it. I loved it. So after I made a really, really, really tough decision to leave New Mexico or not transfer to another school for my redshirt senior year. Both were very highly considered, like to transfer or stay at New Mexico. But I made the decision to leave. And I think it was the best decision for me. Honestly, I could have, like I said, considered it a year earlier even. But I went to IMG Academy, got in amazing shape, really. IMG Academy is massive international sports academy. Like, trained with some of the best guys, got to train with guys like Rodney Hood and Cameron Payne was down there when I was there. Jarno Stokes out of Tennessee. The list. Yeah, like there's, 20 to 30 pros there at all, NBA pros, not just overseas pros. NBA guys were there at all times. Got in great shape there, and then I went and I think I did like 14 different workouts for teams. And so when I say that, it's like over 20, I want to say it was like 25, 26 days. I literally went to 14 workouts, and you're just hopping from city to city, going back to Bradenton, Florida, then taking off on trips. And, you're listening to college coaches, you're listening to your agent, you're listening to Dan Barto was the guy at IMG at the time, just listening to him. Like, teams are calling them, teams are coming in to watch workouts at IMG. I mean, it's chaotic. I actually kept a journal. Like, the only time I've ever kept a journal was during that process, and sometimes I go back and read it. Like, I mean, for example, Charlotte got to meet Michael Jordan.
Awesome.
When I was in Cleveland, I got to watch the Embiid workout when he was with Cleveland and supposedly injured and all this. Like, I remember we worked at like a billionaire's house in San Antonio because the Spurs were still in the playoffs versus Miami at the time. And we worked at like some billionaire's house who just had a full Spurs practice facility in San Antonio. Wow. And I had the most unbelievable workout. I remember there was a guy named Johnny O'Brien at LSU, and he looks at me and he's like, "Yep, you're gonna get drafted by the Spurs." And I was just like, and I mean, just like it was just like that whole experience was amazing. And obviously, went back, finally got back to Los Alamos after 3 months, close to 3 months in for the draft, and had some people over. Thought my name was going to get called, had some very close calls, some picks got traded, didn't happen. About 2 hours later, I got a call from Cleveland, or a call from my agent, sorry. And it was like, "Hey, what do you want to do? You got Cleveland at this price, and you got Orlando, I think, or somebody at Charlotte, or Washington at another price." And so I was just like, all right, like, Cleveland sucks. I'll go to Cleveland, right? Like, I'll go to Cleveland. Like, I mean, they were young. Like, obviously, Kyrie, Dion Waiters. Like, I was like, I might have a chance to play there. Not that they suck, like, obviously, but it was just like they were a young team. Like, I was like, I might have a chance to play. Like, I think it was like Zeller was the center at the time. Obviously, like a great starting center in the NBA. But like, I was like, maybe there's a chance like I could at least get on the court there. So we go and go to Summer League, and I remember we're sitting in the back gym of David Blatt was the coach, and we're sitting in the back gym of like one of the little volleyball practice gyms or whatever it is. Just you can just hear coaches talking like LeBron's coming back, and just like, and like I'll never forget, like we walk in there and I just like we go to everyone puts their hands in, and I just remember just like looking at Andrew Wiggins just like does he know he's getting traded, or and just like, because I think the day before he just signed like a massive Adidas deal. So we're just sitting there, and I'm just kind of like, everyone's like, honestly, everyone's happy. And Andrew Wiggins, like at that time, like I don't know how, I don't know him very well, but he's got a little bit of a Tony Snell vibe to him. He's a bit quiet, and so I just kind of was just like, I don't know. Like, I wonder if he knows, like, he's getting traded now, like, or he thinks he's like gonna play. Like, I was just curious, like, because I'm very into like the trading and like seeing how teams fit together, and like. But anyway, it was just like after that, it was just like bam, bam, all the pieces: James Jones, Mike Miller, Brendan Haywood, Sean Miller, like all these guys just signing with Cleveland and stuff like that. And like of course they already had Anders and Varejao, Kyrie, Dion, Tristan Thompson. So I was just like, well, I don't know. We'll see. I'm on like a partially guaranteed deal, like going into training camp. Like, we'll see what was happening. And so basically, like, going through training camp was pretty surreal. Like, I can't like honestly, like, just like being able to like be the third team and played with a couple other D League guys, and we're playing against like Kyrie, Dion, like Tristan. I matched up with Tristan a lot, and Kevin Love sometimes, and but just like switching on to like LeBron and stuff like that, it's like pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's even hard to
That's crazy.
It's hard to think about. Like
That's awesome.
yeah, it's
Good
like,
memories, though.
it's like a weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but. I definitely have a lot of stories from those times, and and then I remember the day where it's like, we're gonna keep you, like, and it was just like we have an extra roster spot, but we were thinking about just cutting you and sending you down to the D League, and but I think we're just gonna keep you on for now, because I did play pretty good in preseason that year. I played pretty solid, and. Just during my fourth quarter times and stuff like that. So I thought I had a really good training camp, and I thought I kind of deserved that spot. And they ended up giving it to me, and it was just insane. Like it was honestly just insane. Like just to be a part of that for I think it was like 3 or 4 months. But I scored a couple baskets, and I played probably like 8 minutes in the NBA. But it's not just that. It's like all the other stuff is what was the best parts. Like,
Good memories.
yeah.
Behind the scenes stuff. Well, you answered my next question, so I appreciate that. You recently got married to Rachel Adams. She's an Olympian medalist volleyball player. She went to University of Texas, my understanding.
Yeah.
What's it like being married to someone? You kind of hit on it before we hit record, but
Yeah.
what's it like being married to someone that's an athlete of that stature and seeing what she's achieved?
Yeah, to be honest, I learned a lot from her, and I've just what she's brought to my career. I think it's definitely prolonged my career because, there's a difference. I'm a professional athlete. I'll say that, but there's a difference between a professional athlete and an elite athlete, and I think just from watching her and her routines and how she's so strict on her diet and everything like that, it's truly unbelievable. And just the mental, just her mentality towards everything. I'm a very negative person. I'm extremely if you ask me before a game, we could be playing the worst team in the league in Japan. Hey, you guys gonna win it? Nah, we ain't got a chance. That's just how I am. That's how I motivate myself. That's how I am. But for her, she's all about the mentality game and all about that. And I'm truly lucky to have her. She's unbelievable. She's an unbelievable person, and every day is just amazing. And so we've been married over a year now. So
Congrats.
Appreciate that. And so now that she's retired, she's definitely transitioning into her, her non-professional athlete thing. And it's been a challenge for her. I was very lucky to have her in Tokyo with me last year, and from cooking me breakfast to making me smoothies to coming to all the games when she was able to, and truly just so lucky to have her in there. And I know a lot of athletes talk about having their their wives with them at all times and what they do, but I have an Olympian in my corner, she's in there, she's in there doing her thing. And this year she worked as a mentality coach with a lot of young volleyball athletes, and I know she would love to reach out to any New Mexico athletes ever wanted to reach out to her and to pick her mind and use her services. She became yoga certified, and she created her own mentality journal all in one season, all in one basketball season. She created this stuff all over in Tokyo, and she's she's taking on clients, like I said, in working as a mentality sports coach. And she created a legit journal for mentality and young athletes and non-athletes too, and it's just truly amazing.
And she's trying to get it published, right?
Yeah,
she's working on an actual book.
Yeah. So it's actually a legit thing, a hardcover journal and everything like that. And I just can't wait to see how it turns out. I definitely want to push it here in New Mexico, because I do think, now that she's married to me, I think she has, she's a little bit New Mexican too. So whatever she can do for New Mexico athletes, I think would be, just massive.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
I kind of wrote this as you got talking. I kind of wrote this question down as a joke because I have a terrible sense of humor. Does she have bragging rights over you as an athlete in the household?
I don't think she has to say anything. I'm a very realistic person. I'm confident in what I can do, but I'm not cocky in any way, or I know where I stand, and maybe if it was a little bit closer, we could argue a little bit. But for example, and she should have been in Tokyo. She should have been in the Tokyo Olympics too. So basically, I consider her a 2-time Olympian. But it's just there's even from she had to be the top recruit. I don't know if there's volleyball ranking lists in high school back in 2008 or something like that, but she had to be one of the top 5 picks there, or top 5 ranking players there. And then, like, you know, she would have been a McDonald's All-American, and then she would have been, you know, I'm guessing she would have been the number 1 pick out of Texas, to put it in basketball terms. So it's like, basically, it's comparing like me to like, I mean, let's go KD because of you know, Texas connection. So like, let's just do that. But yeah, just absolutely unbelievable.
You know, you've kind of already answered this, Alex. This is the last question we have, but you still keep up with UNM basketball when you can. And can you speak about what you've heard about Coach Pitino and the rejuvenation of the program? I'll tell you what, everyone's excited. It's only July. Yeah. I haven't seen this level of excitement in Lobo basketball this early for a very long time. Yeah. What can you speak about that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've never met Pitino and Coach Ware. Was it Coach Weir? Coach Weir, yeah. Coach Weir. He was very good at connecting with us, like former pros, and you know, that was something cool. Like that was actually really neat. Like just to be able to connect, connect, and you know, we probably did feel a little bit closer to the program then. So I was a little bit more, you know, likely to watch a game and stuff like that. But this last year, I did watch a bit, and yeah, I thought it was really cool, like what he was able to do, you know, in such a short time. Like that's absolutely amazing. And so, you know, it's kind of the same old thing. Like, I just hope he can stay as long as possible and create something and create his own thing. Like, obviously, he's always going to have the name, and so I think he's always going to be a hot name whenever he has success to move on to another program. But, you know, honestly, like, for him to be here, I think I hope he recognizes that he could really create something special here. And, you know, like, yeah, I mean, he could go anywhere, you know, and get all the players and get all the money, but, like, I think being here, you know, he can really create like a pro style, you know, a team here and really bring the pit back to where it should be and all that, and just bring the excitement back. And you know, I don't know if, you know, he'll get to the Alfred status because that was pretty elite there for a while, but I sure hope he does, and I hope he can, you know, bring some cool stuff, like bring back like Lobo basketball to.
Well, the buzz is definitely back. I think last year kind of.
You know, it's funny you mentioned, you know, in it. I think it is. There's no question about it. We saw the pit being somewhat of the pit last year.
Yeah, 15,000 again last year.
The noise, like, incredible. But, you know, you mentioned Coach Alford with that red blazer. You know, that status there is a little – Coach Weir said he wasn't going to wear the red blazer. He never did. I don't know if Coach Pitino's a blazer guy.
No, he's pullover guy. I love it.
Yes. So when Coach Alford came out with that blazer, it's like, okay. Yeah. So that's a little bit different status that he had. Yeah. And you got to give him credit there. Yeah. And Bob King, Norm Ellenberger had some status here when he was here too. Yeah, yeah. But we'll see if Coach Pitino, you mentioned, maybe he stays, maybe he doesn't. We hope he does. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
I mean, it's just longevity, you know. But yeah, we should get Coach Alford to bring the red blazer back for the Nevada game. I think that's cool.
I don't know about that, man.
That was the last thing I was going to say. I remember when I was at the Daily Lobo and he rocked it one day, and obviously I didn't play. And Mike Mott is, I always name drop him on this podcast, but I looked at him and I was like, I forgot who they play. I don't think it was anybody good. And I was like, these mother effers are like they are dead to rights tonight when he wore the red blazer. I was like, this other team is it's done.
I can't remember the exact feeling. Like, I don't remember the exact feeling when we saw the blazer, but like I remember like, all right, yeah. Like, let's go. Like, you know,
locked in.
Like, just because, like, you know, you knew that it meant something to him. So, like, there was some sort of connection. Like, even if it was a bad team, there's something like that was said, something that was done. All right. He didn't even need to say anything. Like, and yeah, that was pretty cool.
I didn't do this when sorry, go ahead.
It's almost like Jim Holzman at Albuquerque had with that Kelly green blazer he wore for every game.
Yeah.
Coach Holzman was known for that. You saw that Kelly green blazer, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't say this when I introduced you, but you were probably, if not, one of the best big men in program history. But you're a former center for the University of New Mexico. His name is Alex Kirk. We really appreciate your time. Taking time on, you know, you're off and coming and meeting us here at the Hydro Bar to talk Lobo basketball and your career. We appreciate it at least from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I mean, this has been awesome, honestly, just to be able to talk and, you know, like hear some memories again. And honestly, whenever you guys want me, like just tell me, because this is awesome. Like just being able to talk basketball and anything like that. And I mean, I love basketball. Like I said, I wish I was a bit more connected to, watching Lobo basketball and seeing everything going on there. But yeah, honestly, whenever you guys need me, like this was absolutely amazing time. And, I hope I can come back and do something like this.
Yeah,
and,
no, you'll be
and we
back
can
on.
just
We'll
talk.
reach out.
All right, whenever.
On behalf of Ed Nunez,
Tell you what, I just got to say one more thing. We just need you to expand more on your answers. We got a lot out of you, man. We appreciate it. We really do. Thank you very much.
on behalf of Ed Nunez, Eric Malton, I got to say it, UNM fans since 1970.
1970.
Eric Malton, I'm Ryan Tamori. Thank you for listening to the Pit Press